One of the easiest things that someone can do is give up. They can give up when things don't go right, when things don't seem to be meshing together. And today's podcast, we're going to talk a little bit about that. The final 2 minutes in your business or in your career.
Welcome to the Behind Her Brand podcast with your host, Kimberly Spencer. Every week, join Kimberly and her guest for inspiring interviews with passionate business builders, corporate leaders, and catalysts of change. Plus, we will be sharing business and career building strategies and tools that you can use to grow. So let's dive into today's episode.
Okay, so I'm going to talk to you guys about the final 2 minutes in your business. So I want you to definitely take out some pen and paper on this one because I want you to think about your business, think about the things that are happening at this time. And actually, you know what? If you don't have a business, think about your career. You can use the same information I'm going to share with you today is the same thing you can use in whether you are working 8 to 5 or you have your own business. Okay. So I used to play basketball in high school and I absolutely love the sport. I still do to this day today. I love the art of the game. I love studying the leaders in the sport and I dive into learning what makes each NBA All-Star great. Additionally, I also enjoy the intensity and the commitment that each player brings when they hit that court. And one thing I've always loved about basketball is that it's a game of strategy and the context of each play is constantly changing. You know, when you get out there and they're playing one play and they see the team doing something different, it's constantly changing, constantly based in strategy. It's all about the context of what's taking place. So just like business owners, you know, the court you're on is constantly dynamic. In your career, it may be the same thing, constantly dynamic. So during each game, especially in any playoffs or finals, one thing that I've always noticed is that my family and friends would always sit at the edge of their seats during the fourth quarter. Okay. Especially the last 2 minutes of the game, depending if someone's like way ahead in the points or not. It's those last few minutes is when people are like always on the edge of their seat. And this is when the players typically go into a whole other dimension, especially when the score is very tight. Now, regardless of how exhausted they are, regardless of what's happened in quarters 1, 2, and 3, that fourth quarter and those last few minutes, something clicks in them. Something shifts in them. Something makes them say, you know what? I got to kick it in high gear. And they play full out until those final seconds in and the buzzer goes off. No matter what obstacles the opponent tries to place in their path, that the other team members play very hard to reach that basket. The goal is always the same, yet the situation literally changes in seconds in those final minutes. Now you may be thinking, Kim, either maybe you're not into sports or you're like, where are you going to go with this? So let me give you some context. One of the things that I see often is business owners and even people in their careers give up before that final second ends. They don't see the results that they expected, so they give up. They're not getting enough registrants for their workshop, so they cancel the thing at last minute. Often when people post something, they're expecting to have an avalanche of likes and engagement. And if they feel like they're not getting that, they delete it, or they feel like, oh, no one's interested. They just have this defeatist kind of mindset. They have tried everything and nothing is working. So they quit versus reviewing how they're running things, how they're achieving things, how they're positioning themselves. So one of the things I've learned that in business is that someone who's really strong and healthy in business or in your career understands how you start and how you finish a game is critical. There is no giving up, and you play the game in totality. Okay. You don't walk off early. You don't quit early. You play full out. So let me give you some examples. All right. So you're hosting your own workshop. Your goals were to have 25 people and only 7 registered. I know that is not a great feeling, right? You only have 9 days left before your event. You decide, you know what? I only got a week and a couple of days. No one's signing up. No one's interested. And so you decide that you want to cancel the event because you don't feel like you have enough people attending and you don't want to be embarrassed. Okay. So what is your final 2 minutes? Instead of quitting and not hosting the event, maybe you should keep making phone calls, network, and reach out to those that have expressed an interest, but maybe have not registered yet. Guys, I've done 1,000,001 events, and I can tell you the last couple of days is when everybody starts registering. Very few like to do early, okay? Because people are like, I don't know my schedule, I don't know about this, I don't know about that, so they don't like to register early. But you keep pushing and you keep coming up with creative ways to attract the number of people you're looking for. Regardless if one person shows up or 25, you still host your event because you never know who that one person is or the people that they know and interact with. I'm going to give you guys an example that literally shifted my business. When we made the big shift from working with professional speakers and running You Impact on the other direction, meaning that we're showing people how to do marketing, I decided to jump out there and host my first workshop so I can tell people about my business. And I had the same scenario, actually. 25 people actually said they were coming, but only 7 showed up. And my heart sank because I had rented out this room. Got some food, and I was expecting this big old, group of people. And I looked around and I was like, oh my gosh. And something in me clicked and I said, you know what, but these people did show up. So let me do my agenda. So I did. But that night, y'all, every time I think about it, it's amazing. Alexa Scott, Crystal Jackson were in the room that night. And those 2 ladies were the first 2 ladies who were in my mastermind. And to this day, and this has been almost a decade now, Alexa Scott and I still work together, and so do Crystal and I on certain projects that she has. But Crystal and I worked together for a number of years. And then she grew and did wonderful. And then every so often when she wants to do a book or do what have you, she still reaches out to me to that day. So for a period of a month, I hosted a workshop, one on a Tuesday every night for 1 month. And every Tuesday, I can go through more names, but my first full mastermind group consisted of the ladies that were in that group. And all of them continued being my clients for years, not a few months, not 1 year, but for several years. And I can truly say that every single one of them also have become very good friends. And I don't mean plastic friends. I don't mean the fake friends. I mean the ones that come to my baby showers, the ones that have just been integral in my life. But had I not done that event, I would have never hosted my first mastermind. I would have never really kicked off You Impact the way that I desired to. I would have never had the kind of friendships I have to this day. And this was, like I said, a decade ago. Those final 2 minutes count. Here's another example. You attend several networking events. You have quite a few hot leads and you're excited about the potential of having new clients. We've all been there. And sometimes it's frustrating when you're like, people say, yeah, call me, let's get together, let's do this. But you go home and you call every single person and not one person returned a phone call. You don't want to seem like you're stalking them. So you decide that maybe they're not interested. So you don't reach out to them anymore. What will be the final 2 minutes in that scenario? Just because someone doesn't return your calls does not mean they're not interested. Okay. As you know, life events can happen to all of us. So instead of disregarding those leads, reach out to them again, maybe a couple weeks down the road and see if they have an interest in. But you keep networking and you keep generating new leads. I know people cannot stand going to events and feeling like it's like a plastic situation, meaning everyone says they want to connect, but they don't. Well, don't you go in there with that attitude. Don't go in there with that mindset. Go in there saying, you know what? I don't need a bunch of leads. I would like to make one solid connection. And I've done that before. I made one solid connection. I was good. And that person and I to this day are still very close too. Now, does it always work out that way? No, not at all. However, whenever I go into a situation where I know there's a networking capacity to it, I literally don't go in with a bunch of business cards so I can spray the whole room. That's not me. I really look for people that I feel like I could be of value to and that maybe can be of value to something that I'm doing as well. So I'm very intentional in that. My final 2 minutes is that I don't give up. You don't discard leads because you just never know if something could have happened. And then when you do another follow-up, more than likely, you'll probably get some sort of response. Okay. Here is the last one. So, as I mentioned, I know these are more, some of these examples are business-like, except for this last one. They can work in any capacity, whether professional, whether it's business. Think about what is it that you're on the brink of about to walk away from, give up. Is there something that you can say, you know what, instead of me giving up, let me do this. I didn't get the promotion. Let me understand why, because I'm on the brink of, hey, I'm done. I'm tapping out. I've done everything I possibly can do. Well, have you ever done an assessment on yourself and look at your skill sets and ask if you're positioning your skill sets more appropriately? Is there another position that will fit that better? So instead of walking away from the company completely or just quitting completely, really assess. Don't give up until that final buzzer runs out. Okay. So I'm going to give one more example. And this one's an interesting one because I've seen a lot of people deal with this one, okay? Your goals for the month, whether you are working professionally or whether you're building your business, is to make, say, $5,000 a month. And you only have 2 weeks left and you have 0 leads, 0 events, nothing coming in. And so far you've only generated $2,000 at this point. So you resigned yourself to the fact that there's no way you're going to be able to make that extra $3,000 a month. I'm using this example because so many people either work a full-time job and they start a side business because they're trying to generate income to pay off debts or to hopefully one day leave the job itself. On the other side, there's business owners who are obviously trying to build profitable businesses, not just make income, but to actually keep the income. So often, whenever we're not hitting our financial goals, it can be very defeating. It can be very deflating. It can kind of feel like, oh my goodness, I keep trying and I can't seem to get there. So here's my final 2 minutes to you. So say you have no leads and no idea how to make that additional income, and you have 14 days left in the month. So you can go back through older leads to see if you have any new interests or create like another creative aspect to see, hey, would you like to talk again? Maybe last time wasn't a good time. Maybe something might be different. Or what you can do is also consider scheduling a workshop. Maybe there's something you're really, really well versed in, and you're saying, you know what? I've never done a Zoom training. I've never done a live workshop. Maybe this is a good time to plan something of that nature. You can do something that can fall in your areas of gifts and talents that can help generate income. Even if it didn't come through the ways that you thought they were going to come, there's always other options. Okay. The bottom line is you work as hard as you can with integrity until that final buzzer goes off. Okay. When you change your scripts and the context to how you say and do things, you'll find that your results in your career and your business shifts as well. So instead of saying, it's never worked. Oh, I'm going to cancel. Nothing ever goes right. No, pause and ask yourself, what can go right in the situation? What else can I do differently? And here's the thing, and I'm going to close with this. If you've done everything possible and you're still not getting the results that you were hoping for, that is okay, because you've done everything that you possibly can do. Okay. Another small little tidbit. This is something just to kind of hang to the side here. No matter what you're trying to build right now, no matter what you're trying to launch, whether it's a book, a podcast, an audio book, whatever it might be, keep in mind that oftentimes it's not always lack of interest. It's not even the product itself isn't really strong or great. You got to know the timing of when to do something. Just like in a game of basketball, you got to know the timing of when to shoot. You got to know the timing of when to pass. You got to know the timing. It's strategy. That is key. When you master understanding the timing of when to launch, when to ask for a raise, when to do whatever it might be, when you can really understand the timing of it, you're going to see different set of results come to you. Okay. All right. So I hope that this was helpful to you guys. And I want you to really think through the final 2 minutes of that fourth quarter in whatever it is that you're doing. Is there something that you can do in this moment to change the game, to change the script, to change the environment? Okay. Think about that. All right. Thank you again for listening to another one of our Behind Her Brand podcasts. I am your host, Kimberly Dishell Spencer, and also the very proud founder of Behind Her Brand. Visit us at www.behindherbrand.net for more information on our services, our magazines and podcasts, and all the incredible things that we have available to you to support each other and to learn more about the other incredible resources that are out there. Have a wonderful day.